Hey everybody, happy Saturday. I'm so excited to be here with you guys today. Hope everyone's having a fantastic Saturday. I have been spending my morning crafting, making breakfast, and my dog has decided she needs to follow me all around today. So she's just like glued to me in my craft space. So I hope everyone is having a wonderful start to your day. If you're stopping by, drop a quick comment just to say hello. Um, this is a really special and exciting live. I almost said Facebook Live, and I need to take my thought process and kind of shift it because this is not a Facebook Live. This is on my very own YouTube channel. I have been working for a couple years now trying to build my YouTube presence. It's not where I started my crafting journey, but I've really enjoyed being able to do different videos and tutorials for everybody. And I think it's time to start moving some live demonstrations over here for you guys. Start with a new sort of format. I'm really excited about this. I want to talk a little bit about what I have in store and where I'm at right now. And then we'll get into some really fun crafting with some Easter products that I have from Pink and Maine. So um, I am going to be launching a new series of live stream demonstrations. Once again, I almost said Facebook. This is not Facebook. Um, and we are going to have somewhat more regular live demonstrations on my YouTube channel. This month, our lives are going to be today, Saturday the 7th, and I also am going to do a live demonstration as well next week, Saturday. I believe at the same time. We're going to do it at 1 p.m. Central Time, of course. I'll make sure to put up reminders and everything. And I'm going to kind of feel out what this sort of plan looks like for this month. If Saturdays kind of work and they stick, we're going to roll with them. I might have a little bit of a change in time. I might not. We might just stick to 1 o'clock. We might find that's a great time for us to get together. I have travel plans coming up later in the month, so I knew that I was going to have to take at least a week off of doing this, and that's okay. That's why I wanted to pick Saturdays because I knew I could do at least 2 more. But we're gonna just kind of move forward with this. So you might see a little bit of changes coming along the way. I have some really fun ideas, things I want to implement, but I just kind of want to start with what I know, and that's with doing live demonstrations using techniques that I know and love. And I can't wait to share this with you guys. So I'm so excited that you are here for my very first live stream on the Justin Note by Justin YouTube channel. And let's talk a little bit about what we have in store today. So I absolutely adore Pink and Maine products. Pink and Maine has some absolutely adorable illustrations that they use for their stamp sets. They have some really fun die sets. They've been coming out with more and more die collections of products that sort of build on top of one another. I know I'm a huge fan of the Home Sweet Home series. I've used a couple projects with that. Hello, Jude. Thanks for stopping by today. Oh, from Blending Boot Camp. Yes, we have had such a good time at Blending Boot Camp. I'm so sad that it's coming to an end, but I'm sure there's going to be more fun on the horizon. So thank you for being here. But we're going to kind of, with the Pink and Maine, I have a fun set that we're going to use. It's from the most recent release. I think it is technically considered the January stamp of the month. Pink of Maine does have a subscription program. They actually have a couple. I think there is like a kit, a stamp set, and then there's also a foiling set, but I'm not 100% well versed in them, but that's okay. But what we're going to use today, I'm going to go ahead, we're going to switch over. Let's talk about the stamp set that we're going to be using today and what we're going to be doing with it. So, all right, everyone. So I'm going to grab my set, and we are going to be using, this is the 18 karat friendship set. I love this set because carat is spelt like the vegetable, not the size of how to gauge your diamonds, you know, or no, gold. Or is it gold and diamonds? Regardless, it's some sort of precious gem or metal. And we're going to be using this stamp set today to build kind of a simple layout when it comes to building a card. It's just going to kind of be simple outline techniques. And I thought simplicity was a really nice place to start today. Oh, hello, Delia. Oh, you signed up for SBC Fest. Yes. We're going to be there. I can't believe SBC Fest is just, what is it? It's just a little over a month away. Next week, I think we can officially say we're at the 1 month mark. It's going to be so much fun. I know you're going to love it. There's such a fantastic lineup of designers that are going to be there, and I can't wait for you to see. So we're going to use this set. In truth, I have already colored up a handful of these images, but some of you might be new to me, some of you might not. For those of you who are new, I love alcohol marker coloring, so I thought we would do just a little bit of Olo marker coloring just to kind of explain the base of how I put my images together, and then I can talk more in detail about them. I do have all of the Olo marker combinations that I used across all of my image listed in the description below, along with a link to go to the Olo website if you are so inspired to purchase any markers after this live demonstration. Of course, if Olos aren't your jam, if you like another form of coloring, you could just convert the colors and take them as suggestions. Hello, Daisy, and hello, Jamie. Oh my goodness, Kentucky, I am just one state north in Illinois, and yes, I'm so excited that you bought my kit, Jamie. It is a great kit. I love that streamers embossing folder, and I love those cheers to you die cuts. It's so fun. I can't wait for you to see what I put together with them. And I can promise you it's just going to be popping with color. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start coloring up this stamp set. And I'm going to be kind of using probably the least exciting bunny of the set. They're all adorable, but I'm using the bunny whose back's turned. And that's kind of because it was an afterthought. I originally wasn't going to do any coloring during today's live, but then I was like, you know what? Let's do coloring. He's the one bunny I haven't colored up yet. So let's get into that. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about techniques. I didn't want to overwhelm today's demonstration with coloring. I am going to grab a piece of paper really quickly, just because I like to color on top of a piece of paper so that I don't have that glass surface underneath. The paper does kind of react to it differently. So we're not going to do too much coloring, just this one image today. I'm going to kind of talk you guys through a little bit how I do my coloring, what my techniques are. Let's zoom in a little bit. There we go. All right, so like I said, we do have this adorable little bunny with his back turned, and we're going to color it up with some Olo markers. I have some warm gray markers that I'm going to use, and for the most of the bunny, we're just going to be doing this 3-color blend, I apologize, of warm gray, 5, 3, and 1. And like I said, I wasn't originally planning on coloring. I know for some people, coloring might not be your jam, but I know for other people, they like to pick up little tips and tricks. Sometimes alcohol marker coloring can be a little overwhelming, and I was kind of hoping that I could break this down a little bit. Like I said, I wanted to kind of stick to my basics, doing my very first live stream on my own channel, and alcohol marker coloring is definitely within my wheelhouse. When I started really paper crafting in terms of making cards, picking up alcohol marker coloring was one of the first things next to ink blending that I worked on. And oh, we got some more comments. It is a really cute stamp set, Jamie. I'm so glad that you're appreciative of a little bit of help and just guidance. I always just like to get, guidance is not the best word, but I just like to give a little bit of suggestive coloring tips, because sometimes like we don't know exactly how to replicate colors, and I am happy to assist with that. And yes, you have all your homework done. I love hearing that, Delia. I tried to keep my homework for SBC Fest on the simpler end. Not saying that other people didn't try as well. It's just I like to give the basics and then do as much as I can on camera without unnecessarily eating up everyone's time. So I am moving on to warm gray number 3, because I'm going to be doing, like I said, a 3-color blend for my bunny. I selected warm gray markers because there's a little bit of a taupe property to them, where there's that earthiness to them. Earth. You can call it a warmth if you want. I kind of think those terms work hand in hand, but I thought that it would just be helpful. I'm already realizing I didn't get his little feet. Just to kind of talk my way through the process with this. So I like to implement an alcohol marker method called coloring twice. And it's exactly how it sounds. I like to color up everything on my image twice, and I do it for 2 reasons. The first is when you're working with alcohol markers, your ink is going to work better when it's on a saturated piece of paper, meaning the ink is going to flow a little bit more. And that's when I do both layers of coloring. I'm able to really saturate my paper with the ink, so it allows for that second layer to get really nicely blended. The second reason is also talking about saturation, but in terms of coloring, or color value rather. When you add that second layer of color, the colors get layered on top of each other and they just become more saturated. And I think they really let your image pop. And so that's why I mostly like to do a method of coloring twice where I go from dark to light and then dark to light once again. Now, there are some instances where coloring twice is not necessarily something that I always do. And I can talk through some instances where that may be. We've got one little instance on this guy. Um, However, mostly this is the method that I follow. So, all right, let's keep going in. Oh, I love that you love to watch people color, Jamie. Any helps and hints definitely do point us in the direction we need to go. I'm always looking for color references and just to kind of get me in the direction I want to go. And then I try to use whatever pre-existing knowledge I have to sort of build on any gaps of knowledge. But I do like these warm grays. Olos are a little different than Copic markers. The markers themselves are built differently. For example, Olo markers really only have one cap. I know Copic sketch markers and Copic, is it original markers as well, have two caps that help keep the barrel pressurized. I think Chows are the ones with Copics that only have the one cap. I also know Olo markers, you're able to connect other colors to them. So each marker has like a connector ring that you can purchase separately, or some retailers offer them for free if you buy more than one marker. It just sort of depends, and that allows you to sort of connect those markers to one another. So I have my cool gray 5 and my warm gray 5. Now, for Olo markers, up until recently, they only offered warm and cool gray. I believe they just introduced a third gray. I think it's either a neutral or a toner. I don't remember for certain. Hello, Nancy. I hope you're having a wonderful evening. Or evening. No, this is the afternoon. My goodness. I forgot to have coffee today. So clearly I need that, but thank you for stopping by. California, oh my goodness. California is like probably my favorite state. Just because like I always say that if I was to move anywhere, if I wanted to like move to another state, it would probably be to San Diego in California. It is just, I love it there. It's got the most perfect weather all year round. I love the community and just kind of the vibes that go on there. Absolutely. Oh, Nancy, you're so sweet. So, so sweet. And also, too, I love that San Diego is like a 90-minute drive from Anaheim, so I can go get my Disney fix whenever I would need. I understand, Jamie, and I am in a very similar boat. I have the full Copic collection, and I still use them somewhat regularly. I have been using my Olo markers more and more. A lot of images that I color up tend to kind of have human flesh tones to them, and I'm still kind of working with my Olo markers to come up with combinations that I'm happy with. So a lot of times when I'm coloring up human images, I'm using my Copic markers, but I really like how Olos work when I'm working with non-human images, like this little bunny. So the cracked caps really can be frustrating. How do you prevent bleeding? Well, so we'll talk about two types of bleeding. The first is if your ink is going to go like outside of the line. And I think what's hard about that is you can't put a lot of ink down on the paper. That's when it starts to seep beyond the lines that you don't want it to. So I think I would try to not build up so much color, maybe try to be a little bit more lighter handed with how much ink you're putting on. So that's also a great thing to keep in mind to make sure that your ink isn't bleeding outside the lines. But also, if you're talking about like the actual stamped ink bleeding, that's another topic, and I would love to talk about that with you guys. I want to give him some green overalls because I think that it'll work really cute. So I'm gonna work on the overalls and talk about bleeding. Um, when it comes to your ink, you want to pick an ink that works well for you. when it comes to stamping out an image to color in alcohol markers. And I think that a good rule of thumb is to heat set your image after you've stamped it, just as a safety precaution. I've encountered most inks that I Copic marker color with do kind of require a little bit of heat setting, and that kind of makes sure that the ink stays dry and doesn't bleed into the inks I'm going to layer on top of it. So I would try with that. I would also make sure that you are using an ink that is alcohol marker friendly. They not all of them are. There's and so that's a great thing to look into. These images are stamped with the blackout ink by Econ 3. That is my general go-to when it comes to stamping in black ink. I really like how it works. I can link that down for you guys after the live stream's over so you have it as a reference. I also know I sometimes don't stamp in black ink and I'll stamp in like gray or brown. For those, I use River Rock and Crunchy Leaf inks by Lawn Fawn. Those dry really quickly. I just really like how they work in terms of stamping in a non-black color. So I would definitely make sure the ink you're using is alcohol marker friendly, and I would make sure that you're heat setting it. Those are two great things to check first. Hello, Pam. Pam says, I find the paper has a lot to do with whether the alcohol markers bleed outside the lines. That is also very true. I didn't talk about paper. I was thinking more along the lines of ink, but you are absolutely right. I like to think about, there's a crafting event that I went to once, and I had somebody who came up to me at the event, and they were like, Justin, I don't understand. I can't color the same way that you do. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, how can I help you? And they're like kind of talking through their process, and they had their own little section set up with their crafts tools and markers. I'm like, come show me what you're working with and let's kind of talk through this. And when we were talking about paper, that was one, paper ended up being one of the issues. I asked her what sort of paper she's using, and she looked at me and she said, I don't know. And it was like, I was like, okay. I'm like, well, this is going to be a great topic of discussion, because I think, because then later in the conversation, it came out she didn't know what type of paper it was. She just bought it from some big box store and it was just white paper. And I'm like, I get it. I get it, because if someone doesn't tell you or you don't learn it from somewhere, how are you going to know? So paper is really important. I'm using Copic Express at cardstock. That is usually my coloring paper of choice. Olo also has a very good alcohol marker paper as well, obviously designed to work really well with their markers. So definitely keep that in mind. So we're just going to keep going in. For the overalls, we're going in. This is YG 2.5, 2.3, and 2.1. And if you guys see in the description below, I do have this combination listed, mostly for the carrots that I colored up, not necessarily any clothing. But I was like, you know what? Green overalls sound adorable, and color-wise are going to really go nicely with this image. So, yay. Hello, Kristen. Hope you're having a great day. Pam, so you use the Copic Express at cardstock? It's really good paper. When I find a paper I really like, I tend to buy it in bulk. And by that, I mean, don't get crazy. I'm not going and buying like 10 reams in a case of it. But I typically try to find through normal retailers what the largest size that I can purchase is, because I just use it all the time then. I was just talking the other day. I had pulled out my Simon Hurley Stark White cardstock, and it's in like a not very pretty, just like clear envelope with like a sticker label on it that almost looks like an inventory label. And I was like, this is just what it looks like when you buy the biggest size. I promise it is still the legitimate cardstock. So, all right. So we're just kind of going in twice with that coloring. All right. Now, one thing talking about going outside of the lines to keep in mind is I like to say, I don't know if I have one immediately on my desk. I think I moved it. Get yourself a good white gel pen. I like to use the Sakura Jelly Roll number 10 gel pens, of course, in white, and you can use that to sort of clean up the edges if need be. So that's a great thing to do. All right, so we've got that. Now, I told you guys that I color twice, but sometimes I don't, and which was kind of not the most descriptive way of talking about coloring. But one of the instances I don't color twice is like I'm going to color up his little cottontail. We're going to go with cool gray 1 or 3. I apologize, cool gray 3. And then we're going to go in with cool gray 1. And then we are going to finish it up with 0. And that's the wrong side of my 0 marker. And the reason I'm only coloring it up once is I like to tell people that even when you're coloring a color that you're intended to be a white or a black, I say you're actually coloring that in grays. And I think it's important to understand that even if something is white, you still want shading. And even if something is black, you still want the shading. You still want to capture the highlights and the shadows of it. And I feel like when I color and add that shading to white, I don't want to add too much shading that now the white is gray. And so I have found by just coloring once that it turns that you're still kind of playing with the paper a little bit, using the white of the paper to your benefit. And by coloring it up just that one time, it still holds the white that you're looking for that I wouldn't get if I color it up a second time. And thank you so much for the kind words, Pam, about my coloring. I appreciate it. So we have our little bunny all colored up. And what I love about this is a good one to pick because this ended up only being like 10-15 minutes of us coloring and talking about it. So super, super easy. So we are going to die cut him out. But I want to show you guys. So I'm going to put my markers away. Like I said, all the colors that I have used for him are listed below, along with, I want to show you guys the rest of our little images that I've colored up because we're kind of going with a vibrant color palette. All of these colors and suggestions are listed in the comments. Like I said, these are Olo markers. If you have an eye for Copics, you can find similar ones that you could definitely use instead. But all of these were colored up, same colors used throughout all of the images. All the purples are the same, all the pinks are the same. So once you find that combination listed, you'll be able to find out which colors are used down below. But if you have any questions, just comment and I will do my best to try and help with it. All these images were stamped out in blackout ink by Ink on 3, colored on Copic expressive paper with Olo markers. So really happy with how all of these turned out. I'm going to talk through while I'm doing a little bit of die cutting because I want to get this little guy all cut out. And then we're going to go, let's zoom out. Let's see. There we go. Oh, did I go towards? No, we're good. That went out. Sorry. I'm lots of screens going on right now on my laptop and I'm trying to keep track of which is which. So I apologize. So let's go ahead and die cut these out. What I love with Pink and Main is they always have die cuts that are separated. You never have had to trim them. I know there's been a change in the industry lately based off of manufacturers that most dies nowadays are detached, which is yay, great for us. But Pink and Mains really always have been for many, many years. And continuing with that, what's also great about Pink and Main dies is when you're working with the smaller images, they put little tabs on the dies, so it's easier for your fingers and then also easier for you to tape them down as well. So I love when products are created by crafters for crafters, and there are little tips and tricks in here and little benefits like that that make products just easier for us to work with. And Pink and Main definitely always has items like that in mind for us. Nancy ordered all the packets. Can't wait. I'm excited for you. I hope you have a fun crafty day. I just placed 2 crafting orders last night and I had to get those 1-inch Pink Fresh Studio blending brushes and some inks, and I'm very excited to craft with them soon. So, all right, so we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna tap this down. Let's get a little bit of mint tape. And mint tape is just a low tack adhesive that is great for holding your die cuts in place when you're, this is not the right image, the not right die cut. This is for a different bunny. So glad I caught that. So I'm like, this is not lining up. All right, that's much better. So we're going to get this all lined up. Now, this paper is not the cheapest of paper. This is not a brag. This is about me to encourage you what to do with it. Do not throw this scrap out. I usually, when I stamp out images, I like to stamp and kind of cover the whole sheet so that I'm utilizing it. But when I do lives, I don't like to crowd it. So if you are like me and just stamped one piece of paper or one image on your piece of paper that's like your precious, do not throw it out. Use it for later. It will work just fine. Please. Please, please, please. All right, so we're going to tack that down. And then let's do a little bit of die cutting. I'm going to get out my Spellbinder's Platinum 6 die cutting machine. You guys are all so sweet. Thank you for all of your kind comments. Glad to hear, Jude, that you're a Pink and Main fan as well. Michelle is wonderful. I have gotten to know Libby really well over the last about year and a half. And they're just two wonderful people. All right. Pink and Main also has some of my favorite enamel dots on the market. So if you guys haven't yet, check out their website. They have some fantastic ones. I'm actually really excited to share with you the enamel dots that I'm using today because it's one of the first times they're introducing this sort of style of enamel dot. At least I think. I always say what I think I know, but I could always be wrong. So, all right. So we've got our little bunny. I'm going to clean up just a little bit so I don't misplace anything. So, all right. We're going to put that over there and put my die cuts away. So, getting all of this all packaged up. And I want to kind of talk through what my thought is as we start getting into the assembly portion of our card. Because there's not actually too much that we're going to prepare because I have a lot cut up, so I'll go through that. It says, what can you do with the scrap? Well, with the scrap from the paper, so like this, I would just use this to stamp out more images. This is an A2 size piece of paper. The way my mind works is I always cut a large letter size piece of paper into A2 size. So I cut this one down into A2 size, and I would just stamp more images and save it for later. I have a handful of assignments ahead of me that I'm like, yep, we're definitely going to be alcohol marker coloring. We will save it for that. This paper, I think, is also possibly good for ink blending if you wanted to do like some white die cuts because the paper is so smooth. So that's something you could definitely try out as well. And Jamie says, Michelle's awesome. Pigment always has such generous kits for virtual events. They are wonderful. I did their joyful holiday event, and what they sent everyone, it was so beautiful, and I really put together really nice kits. They've been doing kits for a while too, even outside of events when they just do them on their own, like their subscription kits. Just fantastic products. So what I want to do is kind of talk a little bit about how we're going to assemble this. So I'm pulling in, I got the brand new spring gingham pattern paper, and there are like 12 fantastic colors to use. And I decided to go with a softer color because our images pop so much. I didn't want to overwhelm our card with too much bright colors. I wanted to kind of mute it just a little bit. So I decided to die cut this sort of soft green. And the reason being is I also am pulling in some construction colored cardstock. That's the one thing. So this construction cardstock, this is a Pink and Main cardstock, and whenever I see it, I always think I'm saying construction paper, and I'm like, construction paper and construction cardstock, two totally different things. So I always got to remember when it's the cardstock, it means I'm talking about their orange color. I'm not talking about like going and being a kid and buying construction paper to cut apart and make things with. But regardless, so I kind of thought this pulled in carrot vibes, and because the stamp set is called 18 Karat Friendship, and we've got some carrots in these colors in our set, I thought this worked together really nicely. So that's how I landed on this sort of a color scheme. But I have another rectangle that I die cut that we're going to bring some brighter colors in. So just to kind of talk through the die cuts that I used, Pink and Main has two sets of stitched rectangles that are standard right angle rectangles. I believe there's a rounded edge set too. But this is the largest die cut that's included in the Stitch Rectangle Set 1. The orange, that's the construction cardstock. This is the third largest die from the Stitched Rectangle Set 1. And then this is actually Catherine Pooler favorite cardstock because it blends really well with die inks, which is what I want to do with it. This is cut from the third largest die from Stitched Rectangle Set 2. So largest die Set 1, third largest die Set 1, third largest die Set 2, if that helps. And these just nest really nicely in each other. So, all right, we got a couple comments. Jamie says, okay, so I'm assuming we're talking about Joyful Holiday. Great event. Loved your cards. Oh, you're so sweet. Pink and Main, yes, they just have such fantastic subscription programs. I love how they've put themselves into the realm of foiling too, because I kind of think Pink and Main has really made foiling so much more approachable because it's one of those topics of crafting that has always been intimidating. And I think that they've come out with a lot of great products that are very high quality that take away that sort of worriness about getting into foiling. So I've loved them doing that. And then we're going to say Amalia says, hello, hello. Well, hello to you too. My t-shirt is okay. So I will show you, Amalia, when we do the end, when I go back to myself. I went and saw Beetlejuice the musical a couple years ago, and actually I saw it and I didn't buy this shirt because they didn't have my size, but my friend went like another time and bought it for me. So it says Lydia and Barbara and Adam and Charles and Delia, and it says and Beetlejuice and Beetlejuice and Beetlejuice. So I grabbed that one today, and the very very last Beetlejuice is lime green. I don't know if you've seen those styles of shirts before, where it's like a list of names. I'm a big theater person, and in my mind, the one that I've always wanted to see, but I don't think I've actually seen it officially made yet. I love the musical Chicago, and I would love to see one that says like Pop and Squish and Six and and Cicero and Lipschitz. That's the one I really would love to see eventually, but hey, maybe at some point. But yes, big theater person. Also, too, I'm still like internally mourning the loss of Catherine O'Hara. Me and my husband have been rewatching some episodes of Schitt's Creek lately, just to kind of remember, celebrate, keep in our hearts how wonderful she was. We just finished doing our Christmas watch throughs, and we always watched Home Alone 1 and 2, and she's in that as well and is absolutely wonderful. So I thought a little bit of Delia would be a little bit of nice remembrance too. So, okay, so talking through this, I've got most of my elements ready. I want to do a little bit of ink blending, start kind of mapping out what we're going to do. Like I said, this card is going to be a really basic sort of level of a card layout. It's very standard. It's very easy to replicate. I'm just trying to capture that clean cutness and also bring in a couple fun like techniques with it. And one of those techniques I want to do is ink blending. So what I want to do is I'm taking this is that stitched rectangle set 2, the third largest one that I've die cut from Catherine Pooler favorite cardstock. And I have 2 Catherine Pooler inks that we're going to use. I have Be Mine and Sweetheart. And I just want to do a little bit of ink blending with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with some Be Mine first. And this is darker. And I just kind of want to lightly ink the edges. And this is definitely going to bring in a little bit of that bright colorness that I know that I was like, oh, I don't want to do too much of it. I thought for this portion of the card, it would be appropriate. So I'm just going in, I'm using tailored expression blending brushes. This one I have right now, even though the actual brush itself is white, this is designated for my pink inks. I do have their colored set, and sadly, I accidentally put too much pressure one time using my pink one, and I broke it. And the individual ones have not come back in stock, so I just was like, you know what, let's just use a white one for now. So I bought that, and it fits just with all the other ones on my little rotating caddy. Oh, have a wonderful time, Nancy. It's a fun musical. It really, really is. They did a great job. I worry sometimes with musicals when they were not a musical first, like things that like is a movie first or a book and then they turn it into a musical. I think I prefer when they do the reverse of it. But they did a really good job with Beetlejuice. So, okay, so Nancy, blotchy with blending, there's a couple things. One, if you're using a dye inks work really nicely with these brushes. The other thing too is you might want to just sort of go in a little bit more gently. I don't know. When I'm going in right now, I'm trying not to add a lot of pressure. I'm trying to just kind of let that brush lightly grace the paper and start to build up that Be Mine coloring. Sometimes that's blotchiness, but then on top of it too, I always like to recommend that when you are adding ink to your pad, tap off the excess first, and I like to go in from the edges towards the center because that kind of ensures that you're not going to have that splotch buildup. And just practice. All right, it's just kind of going in. All right, so just kind of keep going in with that B ink. I'm pretty happy with how this looks, but I do want to go in with a little bit of the Sweetheart ink, and I'm just now realizing I don't. There's a towel. All right, so let me just kind of clean this nicely. It's my Kindred Stamps craft towels. I've got to wash some of them pretty soon, though. All right, and then I'm going to go in. Sweetheart is lighter, and I just kind of want to make sure to go in just to kind of bring that ink in a little bit more. Now, a shortcut you can always do is you can use a colored cardstock. I didn't have, I wanted to do ink blending with you guys, so I didn't want to do the colored cardstock on this bit. But you can always do that. Start with a light pink and then use a darker pink like Be Mine, or you can go even darker like Pucker Up or Party Dress or whatever pink inks you like the most. And just use that. So I'm just going in, trying to get a nice blend going. And trying to keep the center lighter, the edges darker. All right. We're almost there. Oh, and I'm just realizing I am going to have to get up for a second to go to my desk because I forgot my bottle of water, and that's okay. All right, so let me go ahead, make sure I'm not getting up unnecessarily. As a friendly reminder, Catherine Pooler inks are water reactive, so I want to do a little bit of splattering of water just to sort of add a little bit of texture. All right, so I've got my distress sprayer, and what I just like to do is that. And as you can see, as the water sets, the water sort of pulls from the paper and it starts to have a little bit more bleach spots. And I just think it's a really fun technique to have for your card because it adds really fun texture and detail to it. So what I also thought would be a fun thing to do is I am going to take some Be Mine ink and sort of dab it onto my glass mat. I am using this glass mat is by Glassboard Studio. I love this gray mat. It works very nicely. It's also magnetic. So if I want to hold down a stencil, it does that very nicely for me. I think glass mats are kind of a really nice thing to have in your craft stash, regardless of what brand you may choose works best for you. I just think they're a really good investment. So I'm watering down that Be Mine ink. And I'm just going to kind of splatter. And I'm not doing it in a splatter box. I know some people go, oh, but it'll be fine. We'll be fine. This ink's not going to go too crazy. All right, there we go. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead, clean that up. So we've got our panel. I'm going to bring it a little bit closer so you can, oh, it's really bright because I've got some bright light going into my room. But if I go like that, you can kind of see it a little bit better. And if anyone has any questions, just let me know. But we're just going to kind of keep going. And the next thing I want to do is I do have a little bit of Pebble cardstock, and I want to stamp out a sentiment for our card. So I've got my Mini Misty. I'm going to put my Pebble cardstock. Pebble cardstock is also by Pink and Main. And we're going to put this in here. And what I like about Pebble cardstock is it reminds me of craft cardstock, but it doesn't have that grain that craft cardstock often has, where it kind of has like a cardboardness to it. It's like if you would imagine a craft cardstock that's got a smooth function or a smooth feature, and it's just all sort of the same constant. There's no sort of paper grain going on. That's what I get from Pebble. So I'm going to use the We Have an 18 Karat Friendship sentiment, and I'm going to stamp it in a brown ink as well. So let's go in. I hear the tippy tappies of my dog coming to see what's going on. All right, so we're going to pick that up. And then I am going to stamp this out in Over Coffee ink. I'm going to see if this is dark enough. If not, I might have to go in or stamp it a couple times. Oh yeah, this will be fine if I stamp it like 3 times. All right, so my sentiment is we have an 18 karat friendship. Does it look pretty solid? I think that looks okay. Let's see. Maybe one more time. And I know they've got those fun little, oh, you know what? We're going to stamp this one more time because I think I kind of added a little bit too much pressure and it made my P sort of go out a little too much. That's okay. We've got the time. Sorry to waste a little bit of it, but if that's the worst thing that's going to happen today, I'll take it. And I love this over coffee ink, using it with this pebble cardstock because I think it just works really nicely together. The colors are sort of tone on tone. I also think there's almost a little bit of a clean cut elegantness to it. Oh, Jamie, Burlesque is one of my favorite movies. It is so good. I'm like Wagon Wheel 1-2C all the way. I'm a huge Cher fan. Huge. You can't touch Cher. You know, like she's timeless. And I will forever whatever she's in engage in, and Burlesque is just one of my favorites. We could say that today's Facebook Live was or not Facebook. Today's live stream was sponsored by Air Rights. See, and if you've seen the movie, you know what I mean. All right, so I've got my sentiment all ready to go. I'm gonna put my Misty away, and I'm gonna grab. Did I grab my scent? Did I not grab them? Shoot. I'm gonna go grab my sentiment banners. I thought I grabbed them in advance, but they should just be right here. Unless I'm missing them. Let me see. I've got my stack of. I love my Pink and Main sentiments strips because they just do such a great job. They're like, I do them all the time. And they're in a stash on my desk that's like my everyday go-to die set. So that's what I must have missed them from. You're very welcome about telling you about the shirt. Absolutely. You guys don't gotta thank me for that. All right, so we're gonna do. That's the wrong sentiment. That was the one I had to restamp. So I'm gonna go in and we're gonna grab a little bit of mint tape. I'll make sure. I don't think I went in and linked the mint tape below, but if you guys are looking for a good low tack tape, mint tape is a great one. I have to remember to add that into the description later. And let's go ahead and die cut this out. This should be the last time I have to pull out my die cutting machine though, so that's good. I also, are you guys the people to, like, I'm assuming I'm not the only one who, whenever I use like my repositionable tape, that when I use it, I put it like and hang it off the side of my desk so that when I need it later, I don't have to go get new tape. I do it all the time until I've like lost all of my like stickiness to the piece and then I throw it out. I know I'm not alone in that. At least you know what? I don't care if I am alone in that. I'm pretty sure I'm not though. It's a great tip. It's a great little tip to make sure that you're getting as much use out of your tape as possible. All right. I'm going to take a drink of water. I'm getting a little parched. All right. So we got that. So now let's kind of start building our card together. So this pink is definitely bright, and it definitely is a little different than the other colors we're going for, but it's going to work. So let's assemble everything right now, and then we're going to map out how our images are going to lay. So I am going to adhere our pink blended die cut directly to our construction die cut, and there's going to be a nice little narrow frame. So it'll work really perfectly. That's what I like about using both set 1 and set 2 of the stitched rectangle dies, is that they work really nicely. They're meant to work really nicely. Waste not, want not. Yes, yep, you guys get it. I knew I was like, I'm not the only one about this tape thing, but I always like to talk about it. You never know who might not be doing it. And then we're going to take this construction panel, and then, no, we still need this. And we're going to put this, and I'm going to try my best to keep it as centered as possible. All right. All right, so we're going to do this. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Love that. And I thought about also doing like yellow. Yellow would also work really nicely, but I just wanted to make sure that I was having colors that popped. And I think that we did that with this. So like I said, really basic, very simple layout of cards. I know that there are a lot of different die sets that you might have that could do this identical thing. I put down what my recommendations are, but super, super easy to replicate. All right, so I'm going to put my die set away. And now I kind of want to map out how all of our images are going to go. So my sentiment, I know I want to have it down here on the bottom. And I want to have all the images up top. And I know that I'm going to have the basket is going to be kind of in the center. And then let's kind of layer where each of our little things is going to go. I want to have this little chick just sort of sitting in the basket, like on an egg, on something kind of in the center. We're going to do the little bunny that we put together is going to be like right there. And then we've also got his friend who is in overalls. I thought maybe we can put off to the side a little bit. Let's see, maybe like that. Then we've got this bunny who's off to the side. We could put our chick right like here. And then I also have 2 eggs or 1 egg and 1 carrot that we can kind of tuck in there. So I think we're going to kind of run with this layout a little bit. I think they all work really nicely with each other. We've got a couple. Let's see. Let's look at some comments just as I'm mapping all of this out. Does your glass mat not reflect light, or are you using professional lights? Amalia, I have right now currently 2 like photography sort of I call them umbrella lights, studio lights, whatever you want to say, that are set up, and I take them and I put them away from my desk so that they don't glare on the mat. You can actually, if you look behind my face in the circle, you can see on my picture frames that there's a little bit of reflection. So that's where they come from. So that's where my light is. And I don't have overhead lights in my craft space. It's great when I'm doing videos and demonstrations, but it's kind of terrible when I want to craft any other time because the overhead lights would really be helpful. But it takes some, you win some, you lose some. Oh, let's see. Share was the best. The shiz is the way. Absolutely. Oh, thank you, Nancy. I'm so glad you guys think that these are so cute. What about the chick higher up in the basket? You could put the chick up top. You could put her on. You know what? You could. We could put the chick up there. And it almost kind of looks like a Christmas tree that way. Not intentionally a Christmas tree, but you could. I guess what it was is I was thinking that this is like a candy stack, and it's like, oh, like I would want this chick laying on an egg, I guess, and not a piece of candy. But it doesn't really matter if you can't see it. You're not going to know what it is. So let's get into the assembly portion of this, and then we'll put the chick on last. I think what I'm going to do. Normally, there's 2 different ways I like to approach this. And you guys both said about the chick moving it up a little bit. We'll do it. We'll put the chick up, and I love that insight. Thank you. I could either adhere all these together and make them one unit and put foam tape all along the back, or we can, and so they're all kind of on the same level, or we can create a little bit of dimension and we can put like the chick in the basket in the background and just so glue them so that they're like level or flush to the paper. But then all the other little bits we can use foam tape with so that there's some dimension with them. And I think that's what I'm laying toward or leaning towards. So let's go in. I'm going to use some liquid adhesive. And I'm going to kind of put this as centered as I can. Let's see. Like that. All right, so we're going to put that there. And then you guys said, what about putting the chick a little bit up? So we're going to put the chick kind of like right there. And I'm just going to glue it directly to the paper. kind of keep it nice and centered, just like this. All right, perfect. All right, so we've got our little chick, and then I want to sort of make these little units. So we're going to do the chick and the bunny. I'm going to glue these together. Just like that. And then let's go ahead and sort of put these two together. Just kind of like this. I'm kind of making them look like there's a little bit of layers going on, that the one that's on top is a little further down because it looks like they would be like perspective wise closer, and then the one that's behind them I kind of shift up just a little bit just so that it gives the sort of feeling that it's directly behind. So okay, so we're gonna do this and this. Oh, I love how these look. This is so cute. All right, so we're gonna do that. And then where are we gonna put our little eggs? I think I'm gonna stick one of the eggs like over here, but I'm gonna glue it directly to the basket. And then let's do some foam tape. Let's take some 3M foam strips, or 3mm foam strips, and start to lay them down. So let's talk a little bit as I'm putting my foam tape down. So I am going to go live next week on Saturday as well, and I'm going to plan on the same time, 1 o'clock. And I know next week Saturday is Valentine's Day, and I'm going to do, and I know that sometimes people are like, well, maybe don't craft a Valentine's Day project on Valentine's Day because you would need the inspiration earlier. And I agree. But I have this sort of fun idea. I've done this once before, and I call them progressive cards. And what I do is each card that I make, I do 3 cards in one live, and each one becomes progressively easier. And it's sort of a way to look at, like, if you're making a last minute card, here are 3 different ideas of how you can do that card. And depending on how much last minute sort of time that you have, what you can afford to do with it. So we're going to take one sort of card layout, and I'm going to use some products by Pretty Pink Posh, and we're going to sort of see 3 different ways that we can make real quick cards if we need something last minute. You never know. You never know when someone says they might need something, you've got to throw it together. So that's what next week's going to be. So I'm really excited to do that with you guys. So I'll make sure, if you guys haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And also follow me on Instagram at Just a Note by Justin. I am trying my best to post reminders about upcoming events and just to help keep everyone informed. You can subscribe to my blog as well. I try to keep my blog up to date. Usually my blog is the one that needs the most help in staying up to date, but it's okay. All right, so we got our 2 little bunnies. Let's do the back of the chick and the bunny. You guys are so sweet. Thank you so much. Well, Nancy, I love that. I will see you next week with it. I promise it'll be fun. Pretty Pink Posh came out with some really great Valentine's Day products, so we're going to use them and just sort of have fun with it. But the goal is I try to keep my lives to about an hour or so. I can't ever promise 100%, but I try. The goal is going to be to have 3 cards completed in 60 minutes. Stay tuned. So it's not going to necessarily be a live that it's like you want to learn like a bunch of great detail techniques, but it's also just a great way to kind of deconstruct the process of putting a card together and realizing as card makers what we can abbreviate if we're on a time crunch. They're not necessarily techniques I would use like if I had an assignment somewhere, but it's something I like to use that helps just us as crafters. be efficient when we need to be. These are too cute. All right, now I just got to figure out where I want to put my little carrot. Oh, if I didn't have... I could do that right there, actually. That's kind of pretty cute. I know it covers up the bunny, but realistically, he's already got his back turned. So maybe we'll put the carrot right there. I don't know. Or do I want to stick it somewhere else? I think that's what we're going to do. Well, Darcelo, welcome. Thank you for being here. Glad you made it. All right, we're going to put this right here. And I know it kind of covers up the bunny, but we still got a bunch of real pretty details going on. So, all right, so we've got that. Sorry. So that's one thing about when I go live. Sometimes when I'm doing like just the placement of my items, I get a little quiet. So I apologize for that. But I'm here, obviously. At least you can see my face. All right, so we're going to go in. We're going to put some foam tape behind our sentiment. And then really all we'll have left to do is embellish and the embellishments and putting it on a card base. All right, we're almost there. All right, so we have an 18 karat friendship, and I have a prepared card base. Pre-prepared is not a word, I don't think. Thank you, Jude. I think it looks cute in his hand too. What's cute about this stamp set is there's kind of like two different ways that you can approach it. The first is like a carrot aspect, like farming carrots, but the other one is painting eggs. There's actually elements that you can like make the different characters look like they're painting the eggs. I just went for the general like basket look this time, but I love that there's a little bit of versatility with it. So, all right, so we've got this all done. All right, so we've got that card done. I have one last thing I want to do. As promised, I have a new set of embellishments from Pink and Main that I would like to use with you guys. And I just have to grab them. Okay, these are the new spring glitter enamel shapes. So they're not called enamel dots. They're called enamel shapes. And that's because you can use the diamonds or the dots. So I thought that these would be really fun to use because these colors all pull into what we did with this card. And I think what I might do though is I might do the dark pink ones. Let's see. Let's do the diamonds. Just since why not? All right, let's see. Let's see. I don't have there. I do have tweezers. That'll be helpful. So we're just gonna kind of go in. Sort of add those. So we'll do 2 diamonds like that. And then let's do 1 diamond right there. Do we want to do, let's do the, see, I get indecisive with embellishments, as I'm sure we all do. All right, let me see, where are we going to put this? I left my pick tool over on my desk too. All right, so we're going to put those like that just to give a little bit of pop and glitter. Y'all, I think we're just about done. So let's talk a little bit about what we made. and we are just at like the 1 hour mark. So we are actually, I mean, we're a little under it, but I start my lives like 2 minutes early so you can see the countdown. But in terms of actual content, like we're doing good. So we have our card is all completed. We used the 18 karat friendship stamp set, and we have an 18 karat friendship sentiment on there as well. We used a handful of dies to put this card together. We used the stitched rectangles set 1 and 2 by Pink and Main. We also used the new spring gingham pattern paper pack. I think that this looks really cute with the lighter green gingham print in the back, and I like how the colors get bolder as we get towards the center. Jamie, I'm always with embellishments. I just know I try to remember, like, try to work in odd numbers, kind of like use varying sizes and colors if you can, but not varying colors. As I've gotten more and more versed in crafting, I like kind of using all the same color embellishments. I don't know, just kind of my thing. um but we stamped out our sentiment. We used the sentiment banner die cuts with this, colored everything up, of course, with Olo markers. Like I said, we only colored up this little guy whose back's turned to us, but I do have down below in the description my recommended colors if you want to replicate any of this. So let's go ahead, let's switch this back to my face and just sort of finish everything up. My goodness. All right, there we go. So here you can see more. It says Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. You can see the whole thing. But yeah, so thank you guys so very much. I hope that this was a fun start to my live stream series. I have ideas of things I want to do. I'm very excited for the direction that it's going to go in. Stay tuned. I know it's going to be fun. I'm so appreciative of you all stopping by. Thank you, Darcel. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kristen. You guys are all so very sweet, and I appreciate you guys stopping by today. I will make sure to get this photographed and onto my Instagram blog and update the cover photo on YouTube if you guys want to come back and watch the replay. Please do. Please do. It's always here for your reference. I will also, like I had said, make sure you like and subscribe for upcoming videos. I have a handful of ones that'll be coming out very soon. I just recorded one earlier today before doing this live, and that should be coming out. That's going to be a week from about now, but it's coming, I promise. But thank you guys once again for stopping by. I hope to see you next week on the 14th at 1 p.m. Central Time for some last minute Valentine's Day crafting. Bring your ideas, bring your favorite Valentine's products maybe you haven't used, and always be sure to ask questions. But thanks, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, a great upcoming week ahead, and I can't wait to craft with you again on Saturday on the 14th. Bye.